Okay. I'm not going to read the disclaimer again. I'm simply going to welcome you all and introduce our new GAE retired President, Linda Wolf Smith. Linda?
Hey everybody, how are you? I am recording from my phone, even though I see myself on my phone at the bottom, but I'll keep going because I did turn the camera on. I want to welcome everybody to Lunch Bunch, a very successful Lunch Bunch, because of the purpose and that we cover a wide range of ideas and topics. But nonetheless, I don't want to take any more time from the meeting because we will meet again. I want to invite you to make sure that you are present on Friday at our first informational meeting. I'm sure Tony will announce it at the end, but I just had to because it's going to be a very important meeting. But I want to welcome our new GAE president, and I hope that we continue to serve GAE as one of the most valuable resources as we move his agenda forward as well. Welcome, everyone.
Okay, is that me? Did you? Hello, everyone. Thank you guys for having me. It's really an honor to have the opportunity to speak to the retired members. As I always say, I'll go ahead and say this now. You hear me reiterate that throughout the meeting. As a past president of Douglas County Association, the retired members in Douglas County were the ones that kept our organization going. Because as a full-time teacher not being released, the retired members were the ones that did the lit work that had to be done to make sure that the organization ran like a well-oiled machine. But we'll talk about that later. First, I want to introduce myself again. I want to thank you, first of all, for having me and inviting me and to find out about me. I'll go through information about myself and the agenda that we have outlined for the next 2 years. But in dealing with people, especially I'm from the country, and being around retired people and older people, they always ask three questions first when they meet you. What's your name, where you're from, who your folks? So I'll get that out of the way right now. Um, my name is Wayne Edward Houston Jr. I am the son of Wayne and Lila Houston. My mom is a retired, well, my mom is deceased, but she was a factory worker and bus driver. She was my dad was a truck driver, so I come from a long line of teachers, from a lot of cousins, and my great grandmother had 18 kids, so she was a teacher in and of herself because she had to raise those 18 kids. Um, I'm from Twiggs County, Georgia, the geographic center of Georgia. Bernice Rampart, and went to school with my uncle Al, and her and actually Doris Glover are from Twigs. And so again, people in that area know my family, the Denards and the Houstons. And so that's a little bit about me. Like I said, I'm from a country town. There is not even a stoplight there, Tony. There's a caution light in Jeffersonville. So you don't even get a chance to stop there. But how did I get here? Um, I've always been fascinated with education. I've always liked going to school. I've always, had a thirst for knowledge, and so I graduated from Twiggs County Comprehensive Middle High School in 1992. I graduated from Georgia Southern University College of Education, and there we had to be certified before we could even student teach. And so from there. I taught 1 year, well, 6 months at Crossroads Alternative School in Jeffersonville, 1 year at Pulaski Middle School in Hawkinsville, and the rest of my time has been in Douglas County. That's where I met Kimberly Evans, and who got me involved in GAE. I think my second year there, she said I had on a page lanyard, and she said to me, um, why are you a member of that group? I said, well, at Georgia Southern, that was the only group. We had to have liability insurance. And at that time, Georgia Southern did not allow GAE on campus. It was only Page. And so that was our only choice. And she said to me, if you knew the history of that organization, you take that off. And that began my journey with GAE. She along with others, got me active and made me aware of my rights and what was right and what was wrong and how to do things in the organization, how to become involved. And so that's how I got involved in GAE. I've served as legislative chair. I served on the board of directors for 2 terms. Um, and I've been to, since I got involved, I think I've been to every RA since I got involved, which is where I met Linda Wolf Smith. One of my first memories of her was at her going to the microphone to talk about the Black Caucus. And that really got me involved in the Georgia Association. So now that I'm here, I know you all are wondering, now what? Okay, now you've been elected, now what? And so what have I been doing since I got elected in April? I've been at GAE headquarters since May 27th. Now, mind you, I did not start officially until July 8th, but from May 27th until June 30th, I was here at GAE every day or at our board retreat. Those were the only days I was not here at GAE headquarters, trying to make sure that that was a smooth transition between the administrations. And so in that time, we've been involved in bargaining with staff, and that's still ongoing. We go back to the table. We took a break for the month of the remainder of July and the month of the beginning of August because we have new teacher orientations which a lot of the retired members helped out with, and the parts as part-time organizers and as volunteers. You have to excuse me. I'm very excited, so I'm talking really fast. I have to slow down. I'm trying to get it all in the time frame. But and so we've done that. We have done bargaining. We went to NEA, got installed there, came back running. We did NTOs. Like I said, I was in Macon where we got 104 members that first day in Macon. Dr. Bryant was there in Macon Felice as a part-time organizer and the members of the BIB Association. We got 104 members. We also went to Twiggs County, who had not been involved. I don't think anybody had been there. I think they said in the last 4 years. And so they hired 22 new teachers. We got 13 of those as new members. I also went to Peach County to their NTO, as well as Coweta, and I went to Valdosta City to their Ignite session for educators mental health, and I am going to see President Rollins down in Decatur County on the 15th. And so that's kind of a nutshell of what's been going on, what I've been doing since I got here. We've also gone down to the Capitol when they were planning to redistrict, and we went down and kind of talked to the people, and thank God that they decided not to do that. But one thing that I do want to focus on as I began to talk about the priorities of this administration. We want to bring the focus back and zero in on education. We have a lot of things going on. There's a lot of things going on around us that can be resolved by just making sure our students are educated. And in doing so, sometimes we have to make sure that our members are educated as well. And I say that because in talking to some teachers, I'm beginning to realize that the social studies teachers know how government works, but a lot of teachers have just separated from it because it's a lot and they feel like they don't have time, they don't want to be bothered with it. But we have to be politically active, and that's one thing that I appreciate about the retired is that historically you all are the ones that while teachers are in school and the other educators are in school and at work and in the cafeteria and cleaning the hallways and driving buses, you all are the ones that show up for GAE at the Capitol. You all are the ones that show up for GAE at TRS. And I don't want to turn a blind eye to the importance of the work that you all do behind the scenes that make sure that ensures that GAE does the things that it needs to do. It makes happen the things that we need to make happen. And we do have a GR director down at the Capitol. The president is down at the Capitol, but you all are there in number and in force every time the call is issued. And I want to start, one of the first things I want to say is that we appreciate what you do. And so it's important that you all understand, that we understand that you, although you are retired, that you still are key to many of the things that we do and many of the things that GAE makes happen. Many of the things that we are able to do, we are able to do because of you. And I want to make that crystal clear. And I want you to understand that I want you to understand that I understand your importance. And with that being said, I'm down to, and I do have to take notes because I'm very ADHD, Miss Tony, and I have not had any coffee for 2 days. And so, yeah, good job, me. I don't know how much longer that's gonna last, but yeah, I have to make a list because I'm very ADHD. So if you see me looking down, looking around, that's part of my accommodation. And I'm sure that you all are all familiar with accommodations. And so now what? And so membership is one of the main things. It's where we get the majority of our funding. And so one of the tenets of my administration is empowering members. And we want to continue. That's one of the first things we want to empower and engage our members. And so how are we going to do that? Oftentimes, I've heard as I was campaigning and now as I'm sitting in this chair, I've heard that the smaller locals do not feel heard. And so it's my goal to bring those locals and bring those locals in and restore the relationship. And I say restore the relationship because perception is reality. Whether or not I think that there is an issue or that has been an issue or that they get visited or they get the things that they need, they feel important, that's beside the point. Their reality is their perception, which is they have not. And so how do we plan to do that? I've already started by going out to those locals. And like I said, I was down in Glenn County, I was down in Valdosta, I was going down to Decatur County, to Bainbridge, and to make sure that those locals feel seen and heard. And in doing so, I that's going to strengthen our relationship. So we're going to strengthen the South, and you'll hear me say, well, we're working on strengthening the South. We're going to maximize the middle, and we always say maximize metro. And when we say maximize the metro, that's a statement that came from the potential of growth of Metro Atlanta, but we want to maximize the middle as well. We want to maximize actually all of our locals, but in maximizing the middle, there's growth potential in those large locals and those large counties. When I say large, I mean heavily populated counties in Middle Georgia. It's not just Bibb. You have Jones that is heavily populated. You have Houston where that's heavily populated, and there's the opportunity for growth and ensuring that those larger Middle Georgia locals grow. We can ensure that those locals around it grow because we're growing leaders in those concentrated areas where the population is heavy, we can then branch out and support those smaller locals by doing what? By offering leadership opportunities that are centralized so that they don't have to come to Atlanta to be trained. We can offer those leadership opportunities right there in Macon, Houston, Jones, where those smaller locals, it's easier for them to get there. We can offer training in Savannah, in Bainbridge, in Glenn, in Valdosta, where those smaller surrounding locals, it's easier for them to get there. They may not have. We have to keep in mind that Atlanta is a distance from Brunswick. It's 5 hours. That's a long way for training. And so what we're wanting to do is we want to strengthen the South, reignite the North, maximize the middle, right? And we want to motivate the Metro. And we're going to do that again by making sure that we are, number one, engaging the members. And we're going to engage them through meaningful training. And you'll see some of that meaningful training. I'll talk about the LDA a little bit later. But by offering meaningful trainings to engage the members, and that will grow leaders to ensure the longevity of the organization. So that once they are done with their teaching career, they will join the retired and continue to work. And why do I say continue to work? I'm saying all the things I'm saying that GAE is planning to do, that is including the retired, because you are GAE as well. You are GAE retired, and you are the ones that make things happen behind the scenes. Right. And so again, I'm going back to that importance of that relationship. When we are out engaging locals in these areas, a lot of you around the state, that's your opportunity to help us engage those locals. We're going to depend on you to help us engage those locals in Bainbridge, in Bibb, in Augusta, in Columbia County, in Columbus, those areas, all of those surrounding, wherever you are. We appreciate you where you are, and we look for your assistance wherever you are. And so we're going to empower those members by keeping them actively engaged, and we want to grow new leaders. By the time I'm done, hopefully I get 4 to 6 years. That's the goal. If not, I don't want to leave office and it's like, oh God, who's going to come behind us and to ensure that the organization keeps going. We have to grow new leaders, and that we do that by providing the opportunity for leadership, right? And who better to help us provide those opportunities than the retired? Because again, my grandma used to say, I've been where you trying to go, right? Who better to help us chart the path than the people who've been there? No parent, no former teacher wants to see a new teacher, a new educator struggle. What do? We try to coach them and say, hey, these are the mistakes I made. If you do these things, you avoid that. And so again, we're trying to tap into your knowledge and your experience to help us chart the path as GAE moves forward into this next era. Because in order for an organization to survive, it must evolve. And I said that in my meeting. And so now we're evolving. And so we're evolving by building opportunities for leaders to learn and grow. Right. And so that's the next thing. Like I said, we want to empower members to make sure they're actively engaged, and we want to grow new leaders. Right. We want to refocus legislatively on educational issues. What I've heard from members throughout the state is, I understand, and this is being at NTOs, and those are the ones that I went to, the people that had reservations were about the political side. And again, I tell them, well, these are the people, the politicians are the ones that decide what we do every day. And what I've come to understand is we have to adjust our messaging. The message is the same, how we present it has to change. And so again, if we refocus on ensuring that every single student, no matter how they identify, no matter where they're located, no matter how much money their parents have or don't have, whether or not there's food in their refrigerator at home, if we focus on making sure that that child gets the best possible education, and by best possible, I mean the education of the absolute highest quality that they can get, all of the other issues that surround that will be taken care of. Because some educators don't feel comfortable with, um, because of where they're located, with the messaging that we give all the time. But if we refocus and restate it to, we have to ensure that every student, no matter how they identify, it's not my job to tell your parents how you identify. It's my job to educate you and respect you. And that kid has to feel safe, because educating them, they have to feel safe. And so we have to create a safe environment for them to learn, in which to learn, right? And then we also have to make sure that the other needs are met. That old research has changed, and I tell my students all the time, you can use research to prove anything you want to prove, but the information that is time honored has not changed. In order for a kid to learn, certain needs have to be met, right? And what do? We make sure that kid feels safe, because they have to feel safe. We have to make sure that kid feels is fed. So what do? We make sure that there's funding for free and reduced lunch. That's what we do. What are other ways we do it in feeling safe? They need to have a bully-free environment, right? They need to be in a class that is not overrun. We need to make sure that students that require special services get those special services. And so in ensuring that all students receive the best possible education, there's a number of things that are under that umbrella, right? And so whatever our smaller issues are, they fall under that umbrella. So we change our messaging so that that is on the forefront. And we're going to monitor and change how we present it depending on where we are. The same language doesn't work in the South that works in the North. And so we have to make sure that our members are speaking the same language that their legislators speak. And so when they talk to their legislators, when they're talking to their legislators back at home, the legislators are hearing the same message that they hear from us down at the Capitol. And so we're going to tailor our message for the region where our people are. And so when the legislator talks to us down at the Capitol, they hear what they heard from White County. They hear what they heard from Chatham County. They hear what they heard from Bullitt County. They hear what they heard from Decatur County. They hear what they heard from Effingham County. They hear what they heard from Bullitt County. They're getting the same message that their constituents, who are also our members, are giving them. And that way they feel like they have to listen to us, because that's the same message that their constituents have given them back home. And so I turn to our legislative priorities, and I'll hold it up. I didn't, oh, it's blurred out in it. But what I'll do is I'll send that, make sure Linda has that to send out to everybody, and that is on the GAE website. But the legislative priorities, we're going back to them. And when you look at it again, we have to thank retired for beating back GPO Web. I mean, but it's still not, the fight is still not over. We still have educators who have PSERS and don't have a livable retirement. And so we still have to fight for that. We still want to fight for a livable wage, because one job should be enough. No matter if you're a custodian, bus driver, you shouldn't, one job should be enough, right? You shouldn't work for the school system. You shouldn't be an educator and have to get your food from the food bank. One job should be enough. And we have teachers, who is certified personnel, who are having to work 2 and 3 jobs. One job should be enough. The beginning salary should be $55,000. We're professionals. Educational support professionals. We're all professionals. And everybody deserves a living wage. And that's one thing that I'm passionate about, because my mom was a bus driver, right? And so I know that if she had not retired from her other job, she and my dad wouldn't have been able to live if she didn't have a retirement from her factory job. So again, that's important to me. We need to work on, again, beating back vouchers and waivers. Waivers are choking our kids out. And we've got to find a way to get those revoked. We should not, if it's educational law, it should be educational law. You don't have the right to waive what a kid needs. The need doesn't go away because you don't want to do it. And so again, legislative priorities. Of course, supporting our educators. Again, meaningful. When I say meaningful trainings, I mean meaningful trainings. Again, we should be on the forefront because we're the educators. We're the ones on the front line. We should be the ones that are guiding the policy. We shouldn't be reacting. And so in saying that, because here's my ADHD kicking in, so put on your seatbelt. QBE, one of the major things, and I'm sure you all have heard me. If you haven't heard, you will hear it. QBE came out in 1986. I was in the 7th grade. And we're still funding schools the same way we funded schools in 7th grade. And so when a person cites problems all the time, this is a problem, that's a problem, that's a problem over there, that's a problem over there, but you never offer solutions, you're a complainer. We're not complaining anymore. We're working on building a plan, a funding plan, to submit to the legislators to fund public education. So we're not complaining anymore. Because if all you do is complain, you're a part of the problem. We're going to be a part of the solution. We're going to since you act like you don't know what to do, we put in the work, right? And NEA is already signed on and saying they will help us. We're going to put in the work and give you a funding plan that will work. Now, you say, you don't have any idea of how, this is what works. Now we're giving you something. You can tweak it or you can implement it. But one of the best principles I ever had, Ms. Kay Davis, who's deceased now, she used to always say, take away the excuses. So we're going to take away the excuses. You say you don't know, you say you can't do it. Here it is. Let's do it. And so that's one of the major things that I want to have accomplished at the end of 2 years is a funding plan that has replaced QBE. And so if it's not implemented, it won't be because they don't have it. Now that's where you all are going to come in again, because when we're down at the Capitol and we get this plan, we need you guys to push it, because you're going to be a part of the process. And once we get that process up and running, there will be retired members that will have input in that. Again, everything that we do, we are an entire association, right? You're GAE retired because you were GAE. Your opinion still matters. And so, again, you will be asked to serve on committees. You'll be asked for your input. And people that know me know that if I have your number, I don't have a problem calling you. Right, Miss Tony? Miss Linda, Kimberly Evans, I call Kim like Kim, and Kim give me something. Wayne, I wouldn't do that if I wouldn't do that if I were you. And so if I call you and ask for your opinion, I really want it, number one. And so when you do get those calls and when you do get tapped to be on committees, and if you can't serve, I understand. But I'm hoping that you are willing to serve, and by being here, I'm sure that you are willing to serve because you're part of GA retired, and you are serving. Um, what else? Again, continuous advocacy for public education. At the end of the day, what we do comes back to what is best for students and educators. And that's going to be the focus. We want to make sure that not only that GAE is a preeminent association, but Georgia is the premier state that where all the teachers want to work, right? And how do we do that? We do that through the legislative actions. We do that by shaping what happens in education. We do that by making sure that we have an audience with the superintendent and that he's listening or she's listening because there is an election coming. And so we want to make sure that our voices are clear and that they are amplified. And that's where we are as an organization right now today. One last thing, I want to say this for the last thing. So everybody hold on to your seat so you don't fall out of it. But right now we're hovering around 30,000 members, right? I want 100,000. If Alabama can get 100,000 members, Georgia can get 100,000 members too. And so how are we going to do that? Again, by engaging the members, right? Actively engaging. That means we need our ears open to hear what the needs of the members are, right? We need to make sure that we're offering the trainings that they need, and that's done through NEA 360 and grants through NEA Foundation, grants through GAE. We need to make sure that we're listening and we're meeting the needs of our members. And so at this point, I think and y'all should know better than to give a social studies teacher a microphone and say talk. Who's always who deal with that?
Well,
I was
we
so
needed to
y'all
hear
just gave me an
everything you
open
said.
floor and said talk.
We needed to hear everything you said. Are you prepared to take questions, President Houston?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. If you have a question for President Houston or even a comment about his ambitious and wonderful agenda, unmute yourself and speak.
Tony, I'll start it off. Wayne, congratulations on your election. You seem to be very enthusiastic, and I look forward to working with you in whatever capacity. Something I wanted to mention to you, I'm fascinated that you were interested in looking at changing QBE and improving it. There was a major endeavor that GA took on about 30 years ago. It was called the Blue Ribbon Task Force. It
Okay.
was comprehensive. I'm sure you can find it back in the annals. It was a comprehensive year-long committee that was comprised of not only GA members, but we had PTA members, we had members of the legislature, we had State Board of Education members, we had Professional Standards Committee. So it was a comprehensive. Um, it was very detailed. It was when Governor Zell Miller was in office, and he took that booklet, which we published, and made some major changes from grassroots up. That's where we started with elected local school boards and appointed local superintendents. I mean, that it was comprehensive. You may want to look at that as a document of how something has been done in the past, not to repeat it, but if you're interested in really making some comprehensive changes, that might be a blueprint for you to just at least put it in your repertoire.
Thank you so much. And we will be tapping.
Now, Wayne, the other thing, and I think you know or you don't, I am a trustee on the teacher
Uh-huh.
retirement system.
Mm-hmm.
Should you, sir, ever need to call me about anything specific or anything in general, don't hesitate. Or if you want me to come in and meet with you face to face so that you can ask your questions in an ongoing conversation with me, I make myself available to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Past President Simons.
And I'll go next. Cyril Hampton, ODE retired. Congratulations, President Houston. Looking forward to working with you.
Hey, Cyril, how you doing, man?
I'm doing wonderful. Busy as ever, but you can always give me a call. I'm looking forward to working with you and other members of GAE, and you can call me anytime.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
No problem.
President Houston, I'd like to congratulate you also again publicly. And thank you for being with us today. And I want you to know that I personally stand ready to work with you and with GAE as a member of 3 NEA training cadres, as a member of the NEA executive committee, and as a member of the GAE board.
I was about to say, you're going to be tapped because you're on the board. So, as we'll talk later because I think you're going to be on the RA committee. I think is where I put you. I haven't called you to confirm yet, but I think so.
Wherever you need me.
Thank you.
I have a comment. I'm impressed, Mr. Houston, with your desire to build the organization. And the comment that I have pertains to, I'll form it as a question.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like you and others to think, how might this organization address administrators who believe this is an adversarial organization? Rather than wanting to expand professionalism, this is something that I dealt with, of not being allowed to have meetings within the building.
Well, one of the things that we are working on, again, is to build relationships, and relationships are huge. And again, perception is reality, and oftentimes it's perceived as adversarial because of one incident that happened 20 years ago, or that the administrator does not have any experience or any positive interactions with GAE at all. But one of the things that we have that we're going to ask the board to approve is to create an administrators training caucus, a training program to because who better to train administrators than great administrators. And so oftentimes it's adversarial because the administrators themselves don't know what they're doing. They haven't been properly trained. Today, it's easier for Joe Blow to come in off the street and go through a program at RISA to become an administrator quicker than the teacher or educator that's held the job, that's been in the classroom or been in the school or been in the office longer than this person has thought about education. And that shouldn't be. It shouldn't be easier for you to come in off the street and supervise me because you have a college degree and pick something, business administration. Because what's happening now is school systems are they have this idea of we have to create the facade of a business because And it's because of the vouchers, actually, because funding is going someplace else and money is going someplace else. It's more of now the student is the customer and the customer's parent is always right. And so it's kind of kicking education to the side, and you have, for the lack of a better term, the inmates running the asylum because administrators are afraid that if teachers and educators in general know their rights, they're going to understand because educational law is different from civil law. That's number one. If educators know their right, then they're going to be at odds with the superintendent because the superintendent wants them to run that school like a business. And you cannot run a school like a business because a business gets to choose the materials that it uses to create the product. Public school uses whomever shows up, right? We use the materials that are there. And so in order to do that, it all goes back to educating. We have to educate the administrators that we're not adversarial. We want to make sure that this environment is conducive for student achievement. And that's the common goal, student achievement. Because at the end of the day, they're evaluated on their student achievement. And so once we bring it back to, we're trying to make sure that the educators in this place have what they need to ensure great student achievement, we'll see that perception change. Now, it takes work. It's not going to change overnight because I'm going to be honest. Um, I was rough around the edges when I first started, and Kim helped me smooth those rough edges out. And you hear me talking about Kimberly Evans again. And so again, it's training leaders because sometimes we go in gung ho and we don't necessarily have to be like that. Sometimes you have to be gung ho, and sometimes you have to be a little smooth around the edges. Because Kim told me one time I was going over to the county office, and she said, "Well, Wayne, do you think that somebody else might be a better person for this job?" Because you going over there like this, and that's not what we need right now. You need somebody to kind of go in with a soft approach. And so again, it's looking at their approach as well. And so yes, that goes back to the training that we plan to provide to our members and up and coming leaders to read the room.
Wayne,
Yes, ma'am.
this is Linda Smith, president of Retired. And what I have always wanted to see and to be assured is that our leadership at GAE starts with the top. And once this school board election is over, state school board election is over, to have a genuine sit down with the new superintendent. What I envisioned my GAE president to do is to go and speak to the State Superintendents Association to give that olive branch because I'm sure that past administrations have placed that on their agenda, but every new president need to establish their agenda. So those areas that aren't commonly see us coming, to let them know that we're deeply concerned. I'm concerned about the laws that they pass, like these laws that are telling kids they can't have cell phones. We got to get ready to, for the repercussions that's going to happen. So I'm so proud that you're a visionary. But again, that's my advice to you is to round off that schedule where you speak with the people at the top so that they can have our agenda on their table, not as adversaries, but people with the same common goal, and that's the best for all of the children in the state. And I'm sure that will be another area that will help you change the impression, because I understand what the young lady is saying about being treated as an adversarial group. We are the most educated group when it comes to lobbying and gaining support. So it's almost time to go. But that's what I wanted to place as part of this recording. Thank you so much for all you've done, known and unknown, and make sure you get your health and stay cool. Thank you, Tony. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Vivian's hand was up before you spoke.
I'm sorry, Vivian.
President Houston, I would like to congratulate you on your presidency. And I am the GAE retired legislative and political action committee chair, and I look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Ms. Brooks. I look forward to working with you as well. Well, you're in Richmond County, right?
Mm.
Houston,
Yeah.
Oh, Huston, y'all back at school. Y'all back in school. Why did I think you were in Richmond County? Oh, that's Miss Brenda that's in Richmond County.
yes.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. Oh, Brenda's hand is raised. Bernice's hand is raised. I'm sorry, Bernice.
Congratulations,
Hey, Miss Bernice.
Mr. Houston. I'm looking forward to working with you. And I want to just plug it in. I am so glad. I was sitting here writing notes that one of your approaches is the funding to submit a funding program or plan rather to the legislators. But sometimes I really think they're just out of touch. Anything they present is going to go, but it's not matching up with the needs of the student, teachers, or, well, really, the school system. Not to me. Kind of like that shooting from the hip. I think that's a great approach. And thank you for your message today, and looking forward to helping in any way I can.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions or comments for President Houston? All right. Before I share our upcoming events, I'd like to ask Vivian, Brenda, and Lana to please turn your cameras on because I'd like to introduce you. First, I'd like to introduce Dr. Lana Foster, GAE retired Vice President. Dr. Foster, would you like to give greetings?
Yes. Can you all hear me?
Yes,
Can you all hear me?
Are you on two devices?
Okay. Can you all hear me now?
Yeah, that's some reverb.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. As she said, I am Dr. Lana Foster. I am the newly elected GAE retired vice president, as well as the membership chair. I look forward to working with each one of you, and congratulations, Mr. Houston, on your appointment as our GAE president. And I have really enjoyed this morning listening to your agenda, what you have planned for us, and how we can make this organization even bigger and better. Congratulations. And if you ever need me and anyone who is on this line, please let me know. I'm here to serve. And you all have a fantastic day.
Thank you, Dr. Foster. I'd like to introduce Vivian Brooks. Vivian Brooks is our senior at-large director on the GAE Board of Directors and also the legislative chair for GAE Retired. Vivian, would you like to bring greetings? You're muted.
Sorry. As I said, congratulations earlier. I look forward to working with you. I'm retired. A lot of times I don't have very much to do. So if you need me to do anything, just contact me. And most of the time I show up. My vision for the legislative vision for the upcoming year is to increase voter participation. So I'll be working on, GAE retired will be working on voter education and ways to get voters engaged. In other words, to get them to be an informed voter. Thank you.
Thank you, Vivian. And I'd like to introduce Brenda Elam. Brenda is our newly elected GAE retired at-large director on the GAE Board of Directors. Brenda, would you like to bring greetings?
Yes, hello everyone. I'm Brenda Elam. As Tony said, I am the newly elected retired director, and I am willing to answer any questions that you have, or if you have some concerns that I need to take back to the board, please contact me. And congratulations, Wayne.
Thank you, Brenda. I'd like to share upcoming events for GAE Retired. Can you see the block with August 7th as our member meeting? Our member meeting is an informational meeting, and we will bring you up to date on every decision that the executive committee has made, and also we will bring you up to date on our upcoming events. Our newsletter is out, and we have a profile of our wonderful retired liaison, Dr. Anita Whitrack. On September 2nd, our next lunch bunch topic will be something from one of our GE retired members who recently published a book, Life is Hard, Soften It with Humor, with our GE retired member, Marlene Buchanan. And we also are looking for ideas for Lunch Bunch speakers. Remember, this is a program, not a meeting, and we look for topics of interest to retirees, and no matter what your role was. We do need assistance with our communications committee on our GAE Retired Facebook page. Contact Karen Solheim or myself if you are interested in that. And our first pre-retirement seminar will be September 19th, and it is open to members and potential members. So please mark that date on your calendar and go to Mobilize. You can scan the QR code that's on your screen right now and register for that event. Even if you're retired, you'll learn something new. I'd also like to plug this for President Houston. The Leadership Development Academy is October 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And I'm sure, I hope, President Houston invites you all to participate. Contact us if you want more information about our Campaign Lab project, how to support LGBTQ students without losing my job, or about applying for a Campaign Lab grant. And we are committed, as our legislative chair told you, to making sure that you are ready to vote. Our newsletter has several resources for you, and this block will be in our newsletter every month with updates until after the November elections. And we have an ongoing project to engage the youth voters. Register to vote now posters are available for schools, for churches, for beauty shops, barbershops, anywhere that youth gather. They're also available for colleges. We are simply click on the link in the newsletter to learn how to contact us to get free posters for the school that you left or a school that you're volunteering in. And by all means, avail yourself of that opportunity. So those are our upcoming events. If you did not receive your GAE Retired newsletter a couple of days ago, check your email spam. It's probably in there because it goes out to almost 2,000 people. Feel free to reach out to anybody on the Executive Council. I'll let I'll invite President Linda Wolf Smith to close us out.
Thank you, Tony. It has been, um, I would say, a welcoming experience to the new world of GAE retired um, as president, and as I have been advised, we carry a brand. And we are known around the country as progressive and sticking to what's fundamental while we move ahead. And that's largely in part to our past leadership. But moreover, undue respect or due respect is given to membership, because the membership is what makes any organization exist. And as NEA and GAE fundamentally say, the final authority lies with membership. So we welcome you to get involved as we restructure and as we make sure that our committees are established where people will have somewhere to join and to get involved. So thank you, Tony, for a splendid agenda today, and thank you, President. Houston, we have a lot to think about, but know that if he says his door is open and that it's okay for you to reach out to him, please take advantage of that. And if he doesn't get to you right away, keep bugging him. It really does, because that's the way that action is given. But thanks again for everybody who's on this line today, and hopefully you'll join us again for the next lunch bunch, and of course at our membership meeting on Friday. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Tony, again. You're muted.
I'm sorry. Thank you all for attending. The recording of this event will be on the GAE Retired YouTube channel, and everyone have a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.